Okay, I'm about to just kind of expound on my philosophy regarding the FDA. I'm just using the FDA as an example. Keep in mind that this philosophy it extends to regulation in general of anything that has a market. So I'm sick of seeing people argue that if there was no regulation of, say, food, that people would be purchasing dangerous food, that people would be poisoning themselves because there's no government there to tell you this food is safe to eat. They argue this, and then somehow these weak-willed libertarians end up arguing back that it's wrong for the government to impose that type of regulation on a market. This is not a good enough argument. People need to see that there is a viable solution, something that will replace government regulation in a world without it. And so that's why I'm trying to put this out there so that more people will understand this argument that they can use instead of the "it's just wrong to do that" argument, which, I mean, it is. It's wrong for the government to be imposing its will on markets like this, the way it has been. Every type of market that's being regulated. I'm just going to use the food part of the FDA's regulations as an example. Okay, what if the market was suddenly unregulated for food? You are producing cereal. Say you're Frito-Lay's, right? You're this corporation that's producing chips that people eat, and now the FDA disappears. Are you suddenly going to start using pesticides when you're growing your potatoes and basically just getting away with murder? I mean, are you going to start poisoning people? Or are you going to seek out a private regulatory agency? Are you going to choose from an entire market of competing FDAs? I mean, right now as a consumer, I've only got the one FDA to choose from. If I don't like how the FDA chooses to classify trans fats, well, tough shit. I'm just going to have to do the research on my own and find out how Frito-Lay uses trans fats in their chips, and maybe I'm going to buy Frito-Lay chips, maybe I'm not, based on my own independent research. Because the FDA doesn't provide that for me. But what if I had more than one FDA to choose from? What if there were 20 different FDAs that I could choose from? And Frito-Lay chips have the stamp of approval of the one that considers trans fats to be healthy, right? And there's another regulatory agency that will not put their stamp of approval on any chips that have any trans fats used in the process at all. I'm going to be looking for chips that have that stamp of approval on them. I mean, these organizations are going to pop up in a market where there's a demand for them. Right now there's no demand for them because we have the government filling that niche. And this is true of any government-regulated market that we have in existence. So, the next time you hear that argument, please don't tell the people that are arguing for regulation that regulation is wrong, because that's not good enough for them to change their mind about it. I mean, they might admit that regulation is wrong, but they see no alternative. And you have to give them that alternative. You have to tell them what you see will happen if that regulation is missing. And once you do that, if you explain it properly, you're going to be explaining to them that everything is going to be just fine without the government pointing a gun at your head and telling you what to eat. So there you go.